Voyager 1 just gave NASA a point on a map no human has ever completed. Not a map of planets, not a map of stars, but a map of the invisible edge of the solar system. For years, scientists knew the sun lived inside a giant bubble. They knew interstellar space pressed against it. They knew there had to be a boundary. But knowing a boundary exists is not the same as touching it. Voyager 1 crossed that border and sent back measurements from the other side. And suddenly, NASA had something it never had before, a real coordinate from beyond the solar shield. So the question is, what did Voyager 1 mark on the map that no telescope could see from Earth? This matters because Voyager 1's remaining instruments are now extremely limited, making every measurement from interstellar space precious. NASA's current Voyager status shows Voyager 1's plasma wave subsystem and magnetometer still operating, while several other instruments have been shut down or are off due to power conservation or degraded performance. The stakes are emotional and scientific. Voyager 1 is helping map the invisible environment beyond the sun, but it will not speak forever. Its plasma and magnetic field data may be among the last direct clues we get from that region for a long time. Voyager 1 did not send back coordinates to a planet. That is the first twist. No hidden moon, no lost world, no alien structure waiting in the dark. The coordinates pointed to something stranger, a place with no surface, no edge you can photograph, and no bright object for a telescope to lock onto. A place where space itself changed. For decades, NASA knew the sun was surrounded by a vast protective bubble called the heliosphere, a region shaped by the solar wind, particles, and magnetic fields flowing outward from our star. But knowing that bubble exists is not the same as touching its edge. Voyager 1 touched it and then crossed through. Voyager 1 became the first spacecraft to operate in interstellar space after crossing beyond the heliosphere in 2012, making it the farthest human-made object ever sent from Earth. That is the first shock. The coordinates were not pointing to a thing NASA missed. They were pointing to a boundary NASA could not fully measure from Earth, a border between the sun's kingdom and the galaxy beyond it. From Earth, that border is invisible. You cannot look at the night sky and see a glowing wall around the solar system. You cannot point a backyard telescope at the heliopause and say, "There it is." It has no color, no solid shell, and no clean outline. It is made of pressure, particles, magnetic fields, and plasma. A boundary where the sun's influence fades and the local interstellar medium begins to dominate. And Voyager 1 was the first machine to send back measurements from the other side. But here is the conflict. A boundary in space is not like a line on a map. It moves, it breathes, and it responds to the sun. It changes with solar activity. It is pushed from inside by the solar wind and pressed from outside by the material between stars. So when Voyager 1 crossed into interstellar space, it did not enter a clean room. It entered a living border zone, a place where NASA's models had predictions, but Voyager carried the proof. The spacecraft's plasma wave subsystem detected vibrations in dense interstellar plasma, giving scientists direct evidence about the environment beyond the heliosphere. That is why the title works. Voyager 1 sent back coordinates to something NASA never found because NASA had searched with models, telescopes, theory, and decades of data. But Voyager 1 gave them something different, a point on the map where the invisible became measurable. Not an object, a transition, not a destination, but a threshold, the kind of place you cannot discover by looking from home. You have to cross it, and Voyager crossed it alone, billions of miles away, moving outward, still transmitting, and still sending back clues from a region no human will visit for a very long time. The consequence is enormous, because once Voyager 1 crossed that border, the solar system stopped being just a diagram of planets. It became a bubble inside the galaxy, a bubble with pressure on both sides, a bubble whose edge can be measured, and a bubble whose outside is not empty. And that means the coordinates Voyager sent back were not coordinates to something NASA forgot to find. They were coordinates to the place where home stops protecting you. So the first revelation is this. Voyager 1 did not point NASA toward a hidden object. It pointed NASA toward an invisible border. But the next part is even stranger, because once Voyager crossed that border, it began detecting something coming from the darkness itself. Outside the heliosphere, Voyager 1 did not find nothing. That may be the most important part. From a human point of view, interstellar space sounds empty. No air, no clouds, no oceans, no nearby planets, and no obvious landmarks, just darkness between stars. But Voyager 1's data says that is wrong. The space beyond the sun's bubble is thin, but it is not empty. It has plasma. It has magnetic fields. It has density. It has waves. And if you have the right instrument in the right place, that darkness can be measured. Voyager 1's plasma wave data has allowed scientists to estimate the density of interstellar plasma beyond the heliopause. Researchers later reported a weak, persistent plasma wave emission that helped sample that density more steadily across about 10 astronomical units of interstellar space. That is the second shock. Voyager 1 did not just cross a boundary. It started mapping the medium outside it. Not with cameras, not with photographs, but with vibrations, plasma waves, and a faint signal that turned empty space into a measurable environment. Think about what that means. A telescope on Earth can see stars. It can see galaxies. It can see light from distant objects. But it cannot physically sample the plasma around Voyager 1. It cannot feel the local density. It cannot sit beyond the sun's shield and measure the charged particles directly. Voyager can. That is why the coordinates matter. They are not pointing to an object in the old sense. They are pointing to a location where the local interstellar medium has properties we can finally measure. A place where the galaxy is no longer just something we observe from inside the sun's bubble. It becomes something our spacecraft is touching. But here is the conflict. Voyager 1 is only one spacecraft, one path, one lonely line through a boundary larger than the entire planetary system.